Part 1. Remembrance. I remember the day you were born, like it was yesterday. I was 4 years old, and I remember eating lunch at home that day, with both Mom and Dad. I remember Mom started bleeding during lunch. I was too young to understand the full magnitude of what was happening. I asked Mom if my memories were accurate, and she said, "We were having leftover pizza at lunch. One thing you may not remember is that you said the blessing at lunch, and you said, 'Thank you, God, for Pizza Hut.'" I started laughing, and that is when I noticed I was bleeding. I still stand by the blessing. Thank God for Pizza Hut. We rushed Mom to the emergency room, and the last thing I remember before leaving Mom with the doctor was them doing an ultrasound. The ultrasound showed a premature separation between the placenta and the uterus. The premature separation was cutting off your oxygen supply, and if it completely separated, you wouldn't have survived. Even after the C-section, you had trouble breathing. You were airlifted to a hospital in Greenville for treatment in the intensive care unit for newborns. And the next thing I knew, I was seeing you for the first time through a glass window, and you were in an incubator. You were born premature by 6 weeks. They were unsure you would make it, but you pulled through like the fighter that you've always been. The world didn't know how lucky it was that day, on December 30th, 1985. A fighter, survivor, and lifesaver was born. Growing up together, we formed a strong bond. You were too young to understand, but Mom and Dad separated when you were only 2 years old. We stayed with Mom and visited Dad every 2 weeks. In the beginning, we stayed in a 2-bedroom apartment in Wilson. You and I shared a room and fought constantly. I'd give anything to go back to those days. Siblings that grow up together with separated parents have a strong bond. They also fight and take their emotions out on each other. We loved and fought constantly throughout the years, but it only made us and our bond stronger. Those were the best years. Death, February 28, 2018. I've always thought I analyzed situations from the best to worst possible outcomes. Even the worst possible outcomes. Unfortunately, I was severely wrong. Not in my wildest nightmare could I've imagined you leaving this world so early. Saying that has been difficult over the last 2 years is a tremendous understatement. It is by far the hardest thing that I've ever had to face. There are no words to describe the loss and pain felt on that day of February 28, 2018. Since you've been gone, I've been fortunate to see the positive effects that you've made on all the lives that you've touched during your short time here. Your husband, children, patients, colleagues, friends, our parents, and me. Never would I have imagined that our parents would FaceTime me together in the same house with your children, eating breakfast together. It left me in tears, overjoyed, in awe, and a perfect example of the positive effects you left on everyone you touched. Although you are no longer with us now, your transcendent soul continues to affect us, and always will. You are forever missed, and will continue to remain in our hearts forever. There is not a day that goes by that I don't reminisce and appreciate the effect you had on all of our lives that you were fortunate enough to have touched. Lesson learned. The most important lesson I've learned from such a tragic situation is not to focus on trying to understand why, but accepting the things we cannot change. Life is not fair, and without pain and tragedy, love and gratitude could not exist. No matter the trials and tribulations life changes us with, living life is truly worth it. The project, the sketch. Since we've lost you, I contemplated ways to honor and memorialize your death. Last year, I got a heart-shaped tattoo of your fingerprint. and let the artist add her touch. She added the hand holding the heart to represent your caretaking mentality and devotion to nursing. The butterflies represent Cat and Lily. Only for you and my nieces would I ever agree to have butterflies tattooed on me. This year, I chose to sketch, the most challenging thus far, but therapeutic in its own right. One day I was looking through your pictures, as I often do. A fearful millisecond, I felt I couldn't remember your face and the light in your eyes that I once could. It terrified me, but also brought the inspiration to begin sketching your picture. Although I could continue to work and sketch this picture for a lifetime, it has to come to an end. It was insanely therapeutic and the best project that I've ever taken on, and I could not have finished it without the inspiration and remembrance of your determination, persistence, and suck-it-up mentality. You'll be forever loved and missed, and I look towards many more ways to honor and remember you. There are no words to describe the gratitude and appreciation that I've been blessed with, having you as my sister. I'll love you always. Now you're gone.